Hello.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing so good. How are
Good.
you?
I'm good. This is a good day, It's a good day. I'm really excited to be here with you so
Me
that everyone
too.
can find out about you and what you do. So speaking of Sama, can you let everyone know a little bit about who you are and what you do and what you identify as? Are you an actor or a model or all of the above, everything? Yes.
Yes, so my name is Sama Okoye. I am an actress, model, and creative. I graduated from NYU Tisch School of the Arts with a BFA in drama, and I am the curator behind the online platform Naked and Nourished.
Which we're going to be talking about in a little bit because that's really, really exciting. And I want everyone to be able to hear about that. But before that, I was going to ask you if the pandemic has affected your work in any way. And if it has, like, how have you been dealing with that? And also, how did you fill your time? Because I feel like a lot of us had a lot of time on our hands, and I just want to know what you did.
Yes, so pre this pandemic, things were going pretty well. I was working on a couple of projects. I was about to start creative directing a film. I'm usually behind and in front of the camera. I do both. So I was creative directing a film. I was acting in another film. I do modeling. So I was planning a shoot and like working with a stylist to get in a brand to work and like putting things together. And I was also like working two part-time jobs in addition. So, I had a lot going on
Things going for you, yeah.
or about to happen. Like I was really at this point when things were really picking up for me. Um, and then, with this pandemic, everything was just put on halt immediately.
Yeah.
I remember it was kind of like, I think it was March, Friday the 13th of all days.
I remember this too. I remember this too. Yes.
And that's when like New York City went pretty crazy and everyone was like, I need to buy toilet paper, and like all the things were off the shelves and people were like, it was wild. And actually that same weekend I had already planned a trip home to visit home, which home for me is Delaware, little small state of Delaware. And so I had planned a trip to Delaware, but something in me was like, you're going home, you may not be back in New York for a while. And that actually happened to be the case. So, I left New York City that weekend and I have not been back since. I still have like my apartment in New York, my life, my all my things in New York, but I just felt like for the time being, it was better to stay kept in Delaware, especially since all these projects, the work I was doing, all of it was just put on hold. And so, it really affected me. The world went from being so busy to getting so quiet. And, I'm not the type of person that really um, like spends a lot of time pondering like what could have been. So I was just like, okay, well, here I am in this new world. It gave me a chance to reevaluate what I was doing, why I was doing it, how I was going about doing it. And so, especially for that first 2 months of being home, it really put me in this, meditative place. It gave me time to rest. It gave me time to think about like what do I enjoy doing? Like what drives me? Because when you're going so fast all the time and just doing things, you rarely have a chance to actually be like, oh wait, why am I doing this again? And how did I get into this? And all of that. So for me, it was like, okay, well, here I am. I'm just gonna take it as it is. And you know what? I'm gonna enjoy this time to kind of just, chill. I've been calling it my midlife retirement. I've literally like those first 2 months, I was like an old person, what was I doing? I was like painting and like taking walks and, you
Learning
know,
French.
learning French, learning all these things. And I'm like, this does not happen. You can look at it in a bad way, but you can also be like, this never happens. Like, when am I ever going to be able to experience a time off where I don't have to feel guilty about taking time off? So I took it. Yeah.
Yeah, you did. That is amazing. That's amazing. Do you have any self-care tips for the people who haven't achieved that yet, that level, and they're still in the what am
Yeah.
I doing phase?
Yeah, like for me, let me be honest, it's a ride. Like I'm not gonna lie and sit here and be like, oh, I was all zen the whole time. No, like I definitely have like, peaks and valleys. But I think it's really important to remember that this is one period of time in a very long life. And in a way, it puts you under circumstances that you may never ever experience again. So it's like, actually honor this time. Um, there is something good to come out of this time if you actually honor it and be like, okay, this is where I am. And I think along with that, the lesson of like relinquishing control, like I think we all, I speak for myself, but at a certain point when you can't really plan that far ahead, you have to just be like, oh, well, like for once in my life, I'm not going to try and be a control freak. Like I'm only going to plan like the next day, even to the next week. Like I'm going to do things more for what is benefiting me in the present moment. So yeah, be in the present moment. There should be, I think a lot of people can spend their time being like, oh, if 2020 didn't happen and if pandemic didn't happen and this and that didn't happen, the coulda, shoulda, woulda, that will just make you go crazy. Like the truth of the matter is, and like, hate to break it to you, but the truth of the matter is this is our reality. This is where we are. And that other alternate universe where the pandemic didn't happen, you're not living in that reality. So it's like, be present here, like find and cultivate yourself here in this reality and let inspiration lead. Like now more than ever, again, if you're honoring the time, if you're relinquishing your control, if you're being present, then inevitably you're going to be inspired in new ways. You're going to be thinking in new ways. And I mean, yes, those 2 months I was watching a lot of Netflix, but after I let my body and my mind kind of experience the rest, oh, now it's like, oh, I'm getting all this inspiration, all this energy to like create and work and collaborate and do it in new ways, since we have like limitations of not being able to see each other in person. So it allows you to be creative in a new way. So yeah, that's my advice.
100%. And also just going back a little bit to what you were saying about all these projects that you had going on before the pandemic, we were going to do a movie together, The Bedtime Story, that Ekenaz Demirok wrote and was about to be the lead in, and I was producing, and you got cast in it, and that didn't happen. And to your earlier point about, just kind of accepting and like moving on, when that project kind of fell through because of obvious reasons, I was also like, well, I can like hold on to it and be mad, or I can like let go and just like embrace the fact that, it's okay. It happens and no one's fault. So just moving on. So yeah, thank you. I
Absolutely.
think you're absolutely right. Okay, well, can you tell us about Naked and Nourished?
Yeah, so speaking of letting go,
Of letting go.
is it's an online platform. It's starting out on Instagram, and there are things in the work to make it bigger. There's a website coming and all of that, but it's really an online platform for those that are letting go. And that is, letting go of the old way of life, letting go of pandemic version of yourself, letting go of the world that you used to know, and in a certain way, like letting go of an old identity, because this is like once in the history of not only a nation, but the history of the world, where we can all say collectively we've experienced this. And so that means collectively we are shifting, like all of us have changed due to this. And I mean, we're still in the middle of it, but there will come a time when we have to mourn in so many different ways, because it's like, this is such a drastic shift. And so Naked and Nourished was born out of that. It's for those that are letting go. And I just really, the only thing I'm trying to do is really resonate with people at this time, to explore the nature of being, you know, the capacity to love and be loved, and to really remember our intrinsic part in the universe. And I think the times we are in now, you know, pandemic, politically, racially, all of these things, it's really calling us to remember who we are and how connected we are. And so Naked and Nourished is a reflection of who I am in that sense. It officially was launched in January of 2020 before no one knew it was coming, but I launched it at the beginning of 2020. And since then, you know, due to everything that's been going on in the world, and in the collective, it's really just been evolving. And honestly, I can't really say what it will become, because I do feel like I'm still at the edge of something, and I'm allowing myself to be like led and inspired. But, you know, I share content that resonates with people, that fosters connections, that lets people think about, you know, who they are in a bigger sense. And it's fun. I like get to pull from amazing content creators, amazing artists, philosophers, spiritual teachers who, in a sense, when you start to like read and watch and listen to what's happening in the world, truly we're all saying the same thing, that like we are really more than this human body. Like, please look beyond who you see on the outside and see how similar we are, and like how deeply connected to one another we are. And so if you're going to treat, like, do not treat me the way you would want to be treated, because if you hurt me, you're actually hurting yourself, because we are that connected. And so that is the message I'm really driving home with Naked and Nourished. It's out of that inspiration and that need to recognize something greater than some of these limitations and structures that society puts us under. And yeah, it's been fun. Who knows what it's gonna be, but check it out. Yeah.
That's very inspiring and amazing. And thank you for that content. Is there a theme that you see coming up in all the work you do? Is there like a thing that keeps like, oh, here it is again, here it is again?
Right. Yeah, I would say my through line is, you know, through my artistry, I've always just really been exploring like the nature of humanity. And I guess more specifically, you know, that's through the lens of my own identity as like a Black woman, as a Nigerian American woman, and also who I am in relation to other people, a collective identity. So whenever I do work, like, you know, I'm one of those multidisciplinary artists. Like, I call myself an actor and a model and a content creator and an entrepreneur, all of these things, but that's truly because all of these are just pathways to really explore my own identity and how I connect to other people through my identity. And so, yeah, everything I do is in that world. It's like, how much can I stretch myself? Like, how do I deconstruct who I think I am? And how do I how do I allow people to like be like, oh, like be unexpected. Like, this person, I thought I knew who she was, but there is so much more there. And vice versa. I want to challenge myself to see someone and, oh, wow, this is the person I thought they were. And then like be totally like thrown off guard by who their spirit is, who they are inside. So yeah, that's absolutely what draws me to art. I think art is one of the only things that allows you to really do that to that capacity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So out of all these projects that you've been doing, and I know that it's a lot, right? Is there one particular one that you're very proud of, or one very successful collaboration that you call? Or it could be multiple.
I think most recently, what I was really proud of was working as a creative director on a film called Blaxploitation, which is yet to be released. there are multiple reasons why I just am so proud of this project. For me personally, I'm someone, I went to acting school. I'm used to being the actor. Whereas on this project, I stepped behind the lens, and it was my first time being a creative director, which meant I was working alongside the director to create the images, the pictures, to allow people to feel things through the visuals of the film. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So for me, it was stepping out and, again, exploring a new part of my identity, which was this more artist, someone who like put pictures together and feelings together, music, lighting, all of that. And the second reason I love this project is because it was created by a Black female director, and it featured an all-Black cast and crew. And I feel like if you're here in the United States, that never happens. Like, the film industry is, very much still working, it's an understatement, working on becoming more diversified and being a better representation of the people in this country. So for this director to decide to create and hire an all-Black cast, I don't think that's ever been done. Like, there's plenty of projects where it's like an all-white crew, but no one would ever think twice because it's so normalized. But to have a crew where you're working along artists who understand your story, understand your love for yourself and also your struggle, it was very empowering. And it was like working with a family. And I just, even more than the project itself, just the process of working on it was just so awesome. Like, it was the most fun I've had in a while. Yeah.
That's great. And I know you touched a little bit on this throughout the interview, but where do you draw your inspiration from, or who do you draw your inspiration from? Can you give us a few names, or like a few names of like some books, some TV shows? I know you said you watched a lot of Netflix at the beginning of the pandemic, so yeah.
First of all, I have to like give everything to my parents. My mom, in terms of, if you met my mother, people don't like to talk about their parents when they're in relation to their art, but look, I draw so much inspiration from the wisdom that she bestows upon me. Like, me speaking these words, being able to talk to people, and being able to be so accepting of people, and also just learning to look beyond. I learned that all from her. And I think as an artist, to be able to cultivate empathy is like, it's the foundation of your artistry. And so she's the person who I feel cultivated empathy in me. And my father cultivated, I would say, artistry and exploration in me. Like, he, I grew up listening to Motown music, Aretha Franklin, and classical music. So he was just like, nothing, you can absorb everything. The world is yours. Absorb everything and take it. So first of all, that's what I have to say. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for influencing my artistry. And then after that, oh my gosh, it just becomes so overwhelming. There's so many people. Like, I'm an actor, but I think in another life, I was definitely a musician. And so I think music is such a powerful energy. That's like, you can't how do you even explain how music touches you? I don't know how to explain it, but I definitely know so many musicians that I love and appreciate. And so that's a genre that I draw from. Should I name people? Basquiat. Absolutely love Basquiat. It's a fine artist. Books. I'm reading a book called The Children of Blood and Bone trilogy. By Tomi Adeyemi, who I absolutely love. I might have messed up her name a little bit, but I will check on that. I'm Nigerian, I should know, geez. Ava DuVernay, the film director. Oh my God, Lupita Nyong'o. When I first saw her receive her Oscar, that was just a life-changing moment for me. I mean, the list goes on and on. Like, I can add it in my bio. Maybe I should make a resource page because
We're definitely
there's
going to share it.
so
We're going to
many.
add it with your interview, everything you've mentioned, and add references because
Yes.
people should have
Pose,
all these lists.
Netflix,
Oh my
Pose.
God, Pose?
Amazing.
So good.
It's amazing. And then I just watched like Disclosure, which is the documentary, which is so like I wish that was like 10 times longer. It was awesome. So yeah, there's so many, but those are the ones that I've been like digesting in the present moment. So those are the ones that are coming to my head and that, yeah, are in my mind right now.
Thank you. Those are great. Yeah, we're going to add all of that so that people can have the resources at their fingertips. Because I feel like it's so easy right now to like just draw resources from like social media and stuff. Like you can't say anymore, oh, I didn't know what to do. Or
Right.
like, no. This is it, we're making it really easy for you. So thank you for all of that. And for our last question, I was wondering if there's anything that you're dying to do, like after the pandemic, when this is all over. Is there something that you like really want to work on, or like an idea that you really want to try?
Wow.
So many.
Yes, but I think my heart is craving. Well, let me start by saying this, like some projects you can do like via Zoom and like Naked and Nourished is a very digital platform, but you know, acting and doing theater and collaborating and reading lines together in a space, I am missing that so much. And so I'm missing that part of myself, the actor part of my artistry, which is really the spine of who I am, is like, please get me in a room to work with people. So that's all. I just can't wait to get up there and start working on something and, you know, cultivating that like synergy with other artists in the same space. So yeah, that's the first thing I'm going to do is try and find a project to work on.
100%. And I hope we're going to get to work together. I would love that. I haven't seen you in such a long time, like in person. So I really hope you get to work with us, with Italia, and hopefully we'll do a project together. That would be amazing. And yes, thank you so much for your time, Sama. Thank
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. And for everyone watching, thanks for listening, hearing, accepting, loving. This is awesome.
you. Bye bye.
Bye.